What's up, sports buddies? I'm Neil Bravo, and here we are again for another edition of Let's Get It On. So today we're going to talk about basketball, and specifically basketball for DAVAO'S. Now, quick here. Who are the top basketball players in your mind as far as your recollection will go? You think will fall into the category as the top basketball players produced by Davao? I mean, we're talking about the best basketball players ever produced all time by Davao. So, if we go back in time, the list could go on and on and on and on, and some of you may not even be familiar with the names that Davao has produced. Let's say, did you know the Raja of the Rebounds? Francisco Rabat. Are you familiar with Willie Tanduyan? Are you familiar with Loreto Carbonell, Primitivo Martinez? Are you familiar with Vito Orculio? The list goes on, and then maybe perhaps if you're a basketball fan of the 80s and 90s, you know about Noli Banate, Jack Tanuan, and J. Ramirez, Jomar Ruby. Right? So we actually have very rich basketball talents when it comes to DAVAO'S excelling in basketball. And so today I have invited 5 of my friends who are very much knowledgeable in basketball to rattle off their top 5 basketball players produced by Davao of all time. So I have called in my friends, starting off with one of the legends in basketball in Davao, Vito Orculio, who played for the Crispa Redmonizers back in the 80s, okay, and one of the best PBA players that Davao has ever produced. And then I've also invited in the presidential advisor for sports by President Rodrigo Duterte, and currently the regional director of Samahang Basketball in Pilipinas Region 11, Glenn Escandor. And then 2 of my friends in the sports journalism business, a former sports editor and columnist for Edge Davao, and now based in Edmonton, Canada. He writes for Edmonton News, Pinoy Edmonton News, based in Edmonton, Canada, Moses Villacura. And then we have here the sports editor of Mindanao Times, Mr. John DAVAO'S, and currently one of the top collegiate coaches in Davao. We have Coach Ice Gravador. So I'll take off from the picks of these 5 gentlemen. All right, so who do you think would make it to the list? Okay, let's start off with the list of Vito Orculio. Okay, this retired Crispa Redmonizer from the PBA. Now, if we have a basketball Hall of Fame, this guy should be up there, number 1 on the list for Davao's Basketball Hall of Fame. Okay, so Vito's choices actually, he rattled off more than 5 because he said there's just too much talents Davao has produced. So he sent me 5 top 7, okay, but arranged in this order, and then he has some special mentions, basically because he hasn't seen them play, but from the records that he has read out of the exploits of these gentlemen, he would put them on his list. Okay, so here goes the top 7 list of Vito Orculio. We have number 1 on his list, Abet Gutierrez of Eco and Shell in the PBA. I don't know if you guys still remember him, but Abet Gutierrez is really one of the hard-nosed players in the PBA. That's number 1 on his list. Number 2 is Rafael Cho Season. He's a former PBA Rookie of the Year and played for Great Taste in the PBA. Number 3, Alvin Teng from the San Miguel Beermen. Number 4, Ray Perez from Crispa in the Mica and played for Ginebra in the PBA. Number 5, Noli Banate, played for Crispa in the Mica and played for Great Taste Coffee in the PBA. And then for his number 6, he has point guard Jomar Ruby from Tanduay. And number 7 on his list, a hard-nosed defender, one of the most rugged players of the PBA and the most trusted defender for the teams that he played. Well, he played for only one team in the PBA, for Shelltuber Chargers. His name is Jay Ramirez, and he played also for Bax Jeans in the Mika. He is the brother of PSC chairman Butch Ramirez. And for Bito's special mention, he has on his list the legends. Okay, he has the Raja of the Rebounds, Francisco Rabat, who became governor and mayor of Mati City. And he has on his list Loreto Carbonell, another legendary player. And sorry for that. He has another Olympian, Primitivo Martinez. So by the way, going back to Frankie Rabat, he's a member of the 1954 Philippine team that won third place in the World Basketball Championships, and by far that is the best Asian team that has ever performed in the World Championship level. Among his teammates, the big difference, Kaloy Loizaga. Okay, and another one on the list for special mention on Bito, he has Willie Tanduyan, another legendary player, played in the PBA, and of course, you know this guy, number 8, Peter Jun Simon, okay, who played for the Pure Foods Magnolia franchise in the PBA, now on his 17th season, and he has recently said he's about to retire. It's probably his last season in the PBA. So hopefully PBA will be back and we'll see more of Peter Jun Simon's farewell season. Okay, so that's the list for Bito Orculio. And now let's move on to the list of another gentleman whose passion for basketball is immense, and is out there now promoting basketball as the regional director of Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas. Okay, here is Glenn Escandor. His top 5 list. Number 1 on his list, Peter Jun Simon. Okay, he's a graduate of the University of Mindanao, originally from Makilala, and now plays for Magnolia and Pure Foods franchise in the PBA. And we have number 2 on his list, Alvin Teng. Number 3, John Ferriols. John also played for one of the teams of Glenn Escandor in the Araw ng Davao basketball circuit, played for the Royal Mandaya Hotel and Matina Enclaves teams. And number 4 on his list, another legend, Francisco Raja of the Rebounds Rabat. And number 5 on his list, Bito Orculio. So that's Glenn Escandor's choices, rattling them off. Peter Jun Simon, Alvin Teng, John Ferriols, Francisco Rabat, and Bito Orculio. Now let's move on to the list of Mr. Moses Villacura, Edge Davao sports columnist and now based in Edmonton, Canada. Okay, here's the list of Moses. Number 1 on his list, his list is stacked with legends mixed with contemporary players. Number 1 is Willie Tanduyan. Number 2 is Jomar Ruby. Number 3, Bito Orculio. Number 4, Peter Jun Simon. Then number 5, John Ferriols. And Moses made special mention of the brothers Jay Ramirez and Butch Ramirez on his special mention list, and he described them as hard-nosed defenders. So among the 2 players Davao produced who are specializing in defense, okay, they are the Dennis Rodmans of Davao basketball. Okay, so let's review Moses' list. Willie Tanduyan, Jomar Ruby, Bito Orculio, Peter Jun Simon, and John Ferriols. And now moving on to the list of Mr. John Develo, sports editor of Mindanao Times. And he rattled off two lists. He has the contemporary players list and the legends list. For his contemporary top 5 basketball players, he has Mike Manigo, Peter Jun Simon, Alvin Teng, Nonay Bonleon, and John Ferriols. Okay, Yep. John has two new names here on his list. Mike Menigo plays point guard for the Cebu Gems, also played for the Davao Eagles. And he also has Nonoy Bonleon, who played in the PBA for San Miguel Beer. Okay, for the Legends list of Mr. John Devalos, he has Roy Ruby. Roy is the elder brother of Jomar Ruby. He has Vito Orculio, Ben Sindos, Roger Denosta, and Leon Bingoy Montemayor, the former PSC commissioner. And we go to his special mention list. He has Arvin Bonleon, the younger brother of Nonoy Bonleon, who played for the Davao Eagles in the NBA. He has Baser Amer, who still plays for Meralco Bulls in the PBA, and the Giant Samigi Eman, a graduate of the University of Mindanao. So John's list consists of, let's rattle it off again, Mike Menigo, Peter Jun Simon, Alvin Teng, Nonoy Bonleon, and John Ferrios. And now let's move on to, finally, I have Coach Ice Gravador, the head coach of Lamb of God Sped Academy, LGSA, and his list goes this way. Number 1 on his list, Alvin Teng. Number 2, Peter Jun Simon. Number 3, the high-scoring Alvin Pasaol of the University of the East Red Warriors. And he has Aline Bulanadi, another young player who's a member of the Gilas Cadets team. And he has John Pinto, who plays for Blackwater Elite in the PBA in the current PBA season. So once again, rattling off Coach Ice Gravador's list: Alvin Teng, Peter Jun Simon, Alvin Pasaol, Aline Bulanadi, and John Pinto. And there you are, the top 5 Davao basketball players of all time, made by 5 pollsters. That was very exciting. Okay, so as you can see, they vary in their choices. These basketball experts view things rather differently on their own perspective. So yes, like you may also have your own choices for top 5 Davao basketball players, and I would welcome you giving your own opinion on that. So just place your comments on the comments section below on your very own choice for the top 5 Davao basketball players. Okay, so yeah, I'd like to just make some clarifications. Alright, so if you notice, PJ Simon is consistently in the list, and you may ask, or you may say, Peter Jun Simon is not from Davao City. He's born and raised in Makilala, North Cotabato. Yes, we consider that, but also the fact is that Peter Jun Simon is now a resident of Davao City, and his playing days in college were spent in Davao with the University of Mindanao, and he also played for the NBA, the Metropolitan Basketball Association, with the Davao Eagles prior to his signing with Pure Foods in the PBA in 2004. So he's very much one of us, and that is why we find him included in the list of the top 5 Davao basketball players. Okay, so what are we missing? Okay, so there might be names that are not in the list. Say, how about Dong Polistico, who played for San Miguel Beer, the 6'8" center from San Miguel Beer. There's the present day speedster point guard from Ginebra, Scotty Thompson. And you have the late Jack Tanuan. There are many other great players who did not make the list, but they probably are in your list. So, Davao will not run out of basketball talents, and that is why we're making this list, and hopefully in the future come up with more people coming up with their own list. But for now, we'll start with these 5 to give them to give us their top 5 Davao basketball players. And now this brings us to my list. Okay, so let me share my very own list with you. Okay, and here goes. First, I'll be very straightforward about this. I grew up idolizing him. I come from the same town with this person, with this legend, and so probably that's my personal bias, but his record speaks it out. The Olympian himself, Raja of the Rebounds, Francisco Rabat, a member of the 1954 Philippine team that placed third in the World Basketball Championships in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and that is by far the best placed Asian team in any competitions in basketball in the world stage. So yes, Frankie Rabat, King Rabat, he became mayor and governor of Davao Oriental after his playing days. So he's number one on my list, and I got legend has it that Frankie Rabat is really very good in rebounding. So he's probably the kind of Dennis Rodman during his days, and he's known for his kalawit rebound. When you grab the ball up and just stack it with one hand, he's known for that. So yeah, I've seen Alvin Patrimonio do that, and I've seen some new players do that as well. So yeah, that kalawit rebound or the one-handed rebound has its origins way back in the 1950s. Okay, number 2 on my list, there's Peter Jun Simon. Okay, as I've said, this very humble guy whom I have admired for his basketball talent and his demeanor and his behavior off the court, his attitude. I'm really impressed. That's why he made it to the PBA, even if he came out of the draft in 2001, drafted by Santa Lucia, but he never was signed by Santa Lucia, so he drifted back to the NBA and was able to come back to the PBA in 2004 via Pure Foods, and from then on, the rest, as I say, is history. So Peter Jun Simon, known as the scoring apostle, wearing jersey number 8, and I have interviewed him on the sidelines of the All-Stars in Ligo City way back the time the DAVAO'S hosted the All-Stars, and also back in the past during his days. We had a lot of conversations with this guy, and he has announced that it is going to be his last season in the PBA and was supposed to be honored in the Manila Clasico matchup between Ginebra and Pure Foods last May 10, but the coronavirus, as we now know, took its toll on the PBA, and we're still in a standstill. So we're still looking for that final moment with Peter Jun Simon playing in his last days or last games in the PBA. Number 3 on my list, I got this legend, Vito Orculio. Okay, I like this guy. His records also tell it all. He was always named MVP in the PBA and was considered for the mythical selection. He played for the Crispa Redmanizers, and when you play for the fabled Crispa Redmanizers, it means something. Okay, you don't get to play for one of the fabled teams in the PBA any given day unless you're really that good. So I believe Vito Orculio should be in this list. Okay, and I'm down to number 4, and I got the RoboCop Alvin Tang. Okay, hard-nosed defender, very good rebounder, and a member of the San Miguel Beer Grand Slam team. And winding up, I got number 5, point guard par excellence, Jomer Ruby. I've seen Jomer Ruby myself in the 1997 Southeast Asian Games in Jakarta, Indonesia, and boy, he is really very impressive. Coach Joe Lipa of the UP Fighting Maroons considered him as one of the best pure point guards. I mean, he passes before he shoots, so he has a very wide peripheral view of the court, and yeah, that makes him a very, very good point guard and a very, very good player. So he makes it on my list. Okay, so that wraps up my list of top 5 Davao basketball players. All right, so that was very exciting indeed. knowing all the choices of our top of our 5 posters, and I've also given you mine. So if you have your own choices, again, like I said, put them on the comment section below. All right, so that's it, and there goes another edition of Let's Get It On with Neil Bravo.